you started a venture based on travel.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So what was the thought behind it?
हम कभी भी अपने काम से डिस्कनेक्ट नहीं हो सकते. You know, in fact, travel can actually do the opposite. You know, it can actually make it more creative, more productive.
You delivered your eldest son, and then you left for a program.
Yeah.
How many months program?
It was for 4 months. I would miss him, but I would miss him in the right spirit. I would not cry. I would just be happy to miss him. I just felt good that even if I'm far away, I have that love for my kid. And I would be very excited to see him after.
See him.
And I always thought that when he grows up, I'm sure he's going to look up to this in such a good way, in such a strong way. And when I came back, the way Vivaan came to me, it was magical.
Namaste, Vandita.
Namaste.
Welcome to the show, and I'm so happy that you're here and you will be talking to us.
Yes.
So we'll talk about generally in life, in business, whatever is going on.
Okay.
So, सबसे पहले तो what are you into right now?
So right now I'm primarily doing two things. एक है Mauji, which is where we are right now.
Okay.
It's a time cafe, so it's a concept cafe where we charge people for the time that they spend. The idea was that I was seeing a lot of gap in terms of कि आपके ऑफिस और आपके घर के बाहर अगर आपको किसी से बस मिलना है, you don't want to eat anything or you don't want to drink anything, where do you go? So there is nothing. आप कहीं जा ही नहीं सकते हो to just sit and nobody is bothering you.
Okay.
So I saw a huge opportunity there, and I thought let's create a space which is very interestingly designed, as well as it allows you to just be comfortable and at ease. तो जैसे आप मैरिज जाते हो तो आप सोचते हो मुझे ऐसे ड्रेस अप होना है. आप किसी कैजुअल जगह पे जाते हो तो you're like ठीक है, यहाँ सब चलेगा, यहाँ you should just be who you are and just come spend your time the way you like. So that's the whole idea of spending time in a certain manner.
Okay.
And other than that, we also run a design company which is called Carpentry.
Okay.
Where we are into primarily refurbishing old furniture and home decor. So again, मौजी में हमने काफ़ी कुछ refurbish किया. And हमने realize किया कि design industry में बहुत कुछ हो सकता है in terms of sustainability, because काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें होती हैं जो खराब बिल्कुल नहीं होती. They could actually be revamped, redesigned in so many different ways. तो जहाँ आपको trend का एक part रहना है, you don't have to completely rip off everything and bring something new. You can actually just modify it and redesign it.
Right.
So that is what we do at Carpentry. We also do a little bit of space design, but we don't take very commercial or residential kind of projects. We try to do projects where community or people is the center of the whole design.
अच्छा.
क्योंकि वो हमारा skill set भी हम मौजी में हम वो काम भी करते, तो we feel we can give an added value. So primarily this is what I do right now.
So Carpentry mein you're talking about only refurbishing, apart from space design. You're not going into fully blown furniture, creating your own furniture and things
not
like
yet.
that.
So what we're thinking in fact is we want to create our own store, but in that store space we want people, like we want to allow people to come with their old furniture.
Achha.
And take something which is new, but maybe it's refurbished only.
Okay.
It need not be like a brand new furniture really. So the idea is बचपन में I don't know आपको याद होगा कि हम लोग जब मम्मी बर्तन खरीदती थी तो पुराने कपड़े देती थी. Right? So अब आप सोचिए कि आपके घर पे डाइनिंग टेबल है और आपको उसको चेंज करना है, but instead of just like discarding it or just giving it away to anyone, if you could walk into a store, say कि मुझे ये डाइनिंग टेबल देनी है, इसके एक्सचेंज में maybe you'll get some value in terms of your new product that you're buying, or maybe you just get value and leave the dining table and go.
Okay.
Even that's okay. Or you come to us and say I want to refurbish this and convert this into. So to create a store where we would allow people to come with their old furniture, either exchange it for a new piece or refurbish that itself. Plus अभी अगर जैसे आपको कुछ डिस्कार्ड करना, आपको नहीं पता आप क्या करोगे.
बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज है वो.
तो उसके लिए हमने सोचा कि a store would really be like a great place where we can get these things, and हम स्टोर को थोड़ा ऐसे ही बंगलो सेटअप में हमारा इंटरेस्ट है बनाने के लिए, ताकि हम वहाँ पर एक छोटा सा अपना खुद का रिफर्बिशिंग स्पेस भी क्रिएट कर पाए, जहाँ पे our carpenters or our painters and all of that, those people can also work. So we'll also have the workshop area plus like a
and people also see that what exactly is happening,
and with a little bit of coffee and so that people
that element is always going to be there with you, है ना?
Yes.
तो ये जो space है ना, I mean I've always loved the energy, the decor, the way things are kept, और मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता है. तो ये सीखा तुमने या कैसे? How did you get into this?
So वैसे मैं इंजीनियर हूँ.
अच्छा,
but I think
मुझे नहीं पता था.
I'm an electronics and telecommunication engineer.
Okay.
But I think when I was a kid, I think engineering and medical was, primarily what people do.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, engineering just happened to me. But I was always very creative since I was a kid, and I think that's a lot to do with my grandparents because my nana was very creative.
Okay.
My mother is very creative, so I think it came to me from that. But मैं बहुत कुछ घर में generally भी करती थी. Never thought of it as a career. उस time पे these are really not career option, full blown career options. At least I did not have that kind of exposure. So when I engineering करी, thankfully I did not take up a job or anything. I just did something very different. I started on my own. I did a lot of different ventures. But in the process, I was getting just spontaneously, I was getting a lot of opportunity where I could do a little bit of designing here and there.
Okay.
Then when I opened up my co-working space in 2016, I had this very, very distinct idea of what I want to do. And now when I think about it कि यार ये कहाँ से आया, तो मैं हमेशा लोगों को कहती हूँ कि it's massively because of my travel is what I think. I mean, partly yes, I was probably blessed, but I think a lot of it is because I've built so much perspective of looking at things in different ways, and I've seen things in so many different places that every time it sort of like built some kind of a thought process in my head all the time. So I've traveled a lot. I'm very well traveled.
Yes.
And I think massively that has been a teacher in respect to what I design or how I look at things.
Okay.
So I think travel is what I would say where I learned everything from.
You started a venture based on travel.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So what was the thought behind it?
So when we started Travic, it is called Travic. Right now we say it's on sabbatical.
Okay.
So still not completely out of it.
Okay.
But in 2017, even when remote working was still a thing, but vacations was not really a thing. But me and Abhishek, whenever we travel, ऐसा कभी नहीं होता कि we're traveling to switch off from work or take a break or something like that. In fact, हम थोड़ा time रोज we consciously used to spend, working and everything. ताकि you can then just like spend the rest of the day very peacefully because you know what's happening. So when I started connecting dots, I realized कि even when I was a kid, हम लोग साल में एक holiday जाते थे mandatory, like everybody. So उस टाइम पे मोबाइल्स नहीं होते थे, बट माई फादर वुड मेक श्योर दैट वो एक एसटीडी कॉल जरूर कर रहे हैं फैक्ट्री में टू फाइंड आउट कि क्या हो रहा है, राइट? एंड आई थॉट दिस इज हाउ वी आर, लाइक हम कभी भी अपने काम से डिस्कनेक्ट नहीं हो सकते. इनफैक्ट ट्रैवल कैन मेक it can actually do the opposite. It can actually make it more creative, more productive.
It can add more perspectives, I think.
Exactly. So that's how it sort of like struck me that this would be brilliant if we can actually work in travel and encourage people to do that.
Okay.
And personally, I had seen so much impact in my work life, especially with respect to travel, that I thought, I am like a life case study.
Embodiment ho tum us cheez ka.
So I said, I can actually prove to people. So that's how I thought of, and another reason was that travel was really changing meaning thanks to the social media. It was more for the social media versus actually going and being at a place. And I'd done a couple of trips with sir as well. We'd gone to Spain and I very distinctively remember. So we'd gone to the FC Barcelona stadium and हम सारे लोग बस से आ रहे थे वापस. So there was one lot which was in one bus and there was another lot which had gone for another tour. So we had chosen the stadium. So हम जब वापस आ रहे थे तो sir जैसे हमेशा he pops a question, उन्होंने ऐसी question पूछा सबसे कि क्या, what did you guys like, what was your takeaway from this? सबने अपना शेयर किया everything. And then sir ने फिर बोला कि इसको एक इस तरीके से भी देखो कि there's so much history, and there's so much that goes into building something like of this scale. And if there was no history, it wouldn't exist. So look at the importance of history, and like there was like a whole different tangent to this, to going to a stadium,
right?
And और मुझे पता नहीं, मुझे ऐसी बातें बड़ी interest करती हैं, like when you build different perspectives around the same thing, it really sort of like I'm very curious to learn all of those things. तो वहाँ पे मुझे realize हुआ कि how important it is to have someone who's guiding you in your travels a little bit. Can somebody can give you those different perspectives, because not everybody is capable of sort of like thinking like that.
Yes.
So वो भी एक element मेरे दिमाग में काफी time से था कि it changes like how my trip to Spain, like we were with Sir for 5 days and then we extended our trip, the three of us. And those 5 days were there's so much that I learned in those 5 days versus the rest of the 12 days, right?
Yes.
So, wo ek thought tha. Then the whole idea, like, travel was looked at as, acha, break chahiye. And I was somewhere not liking that idea. I was like, nahi, break nahi chahiye tumhe. This could actually be like absolutely opposite. You could come back, if you travel with your work, you can also, your work needs a break than you do. Your work needs that different environment, that different perspective. And I think very early I had really learned in my entrepreneurship program also that I did with Sir ki, you have to like beyond a point, ek point aata hai where you are not the business, the business is so much bigger than you. So that was again another thought that I started connecting to travel ki यार हमें अपने business के लिए कुछ करना चाहिए, हम अपने काम के लिए, not just business but even our work. So if I'm a design professional, if I'm into any kind of profession, doesn't matter. What am I doing to get better at my work? क्योंकि beyond a point आप पढ़ाई नहीं करते, आप courses नहीं करते, you don't do those kind of things. So travel could be a game changer. So ये कुछ ऐसे thoughts थे जिनको I sort of like gathered together and I said, hey, you know what? Let's do a trip which is slow travel, which is slightly guided, slightly you're on your own. तो हम हमेशा लोगों को जब हम पिच करते थे कि ट्रैवल क्या है, तो आई यूज्ड टू टेल पीपल कि आप जो कुछ भी यहाँ कर रहे हो ना, आप वही करोगे, बट आई एम जस्ट लाइक ट्रांसपोर्टिंग यू टू डिफरेंट एनवायरनमेंट. Now let's see how do you do those regular things differently in a different environment, and that itself is going to be so powerful. So we were doing very slow trips. We would usually, so if we were going to Europe, it would be like 14-day trips. So we were just like 7 days in Spain, not even Spain.
Slow trips.
Barcelona and 7 days in Lisbon, like just two cities.
Just 2 cities.
You were walking around the same streets for 7 days probably. But
I think it's so beautiful just to walk around.
You own a piece of it now, and that place owns a piece of you forever. So I think all of those, I don't know how well have I been able to articulate that when I was like, doing all these marketing, but this is exactly the thought that I have inside me. And surprisingly, I still feel that this lacks. There are a lot of travel companies that are doing some fabulous work. But I think this whole perspective is still missing from travel.
Yeah.
So that is why I still say that we're on sabbatical and hopefully I'll get back to it whenever I can.
God bless, that has to.
Yes.
May you come back to it as soon as possible.
Yes.
Because I remember as children when we used to go, तो कुछ नहीं होता था. It was travel was sightseeing and some basic activities. The learning part was not there. And ये मुझे तब भी realize हुआ when we went to see historical monuments ना, तो पहले होता था ना कि कौन देगा गाइड को पैसे, चलो बस देख के आ जाओ, तो हम बस देख के आते थे. But now consciously we've ensured that when we are going, especially watching some historical monuments, there has to be somebody who tells you, because then you connect connect to that stone piece.
And there's so much story, There are so much story.
And wonderful stories. I mean, goosebumps आते हैं कभी-कभी वो stories सुन के. Stories of valor, stories of courage, stories of what people did.
Yes.
मतलब and I feel so sad कि बहुत सारे लोग बस देख के आ जाते हैं. They just go and come back.
जब हम छोटे थे तो travel was very protected. Like you're in a new place, so that was a scary thought versus it being a liberating thought.
Yeah, नहीं होता था वो. Scary होता था.
Surprisingly, मैंने not majorly but 50% of my travel I've done solo, like really solo.
Wow.
I have been to a new country for the first time, and maybe अब मैं शायद उस चीज को उस तरीके से, because maybe I've done it so many times, but when I meet people, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
And
it's really a big deal. It's one of it's on my bucket list, Vandita. Outside India travel solo. It's on my bucket list.
You've not traveled solo yet?
No. Within India, I have done it now.
Okay.
वो भी बड़ी बात थी.
जैसे मैं अभी last year I had gone for a conference. So I had my best friend accompany me from Dublin. So our trip, our last leg was my event that I was supposed to go there for.
Okay.
So she was there on day 1 with me for the event, and then the following day she was leaving for Dublin again. She's going back. And I had one more day. So my flight was from Paris. My event was in Germany. Cologne से Paris आने के बीच में मुझे एक ऐसे मौका मिल गया कि मैं लग्जमबर्ग जा सकती हूँ.
अच्छा.
So I literally took a morning train. I went at 6 in the morning. I reached Luxembourg. I did a whole, like literally I walked the entire city.
Okay.
On foot. Evening I took a train from Luxembourg to Paris. और वहाँ ना मतलब ये मुझे accidentally पता चला कि वहाँ के सारे train stations में luggage lockers होते हैं. So you just have to pay and you pay for the entire day like 10 euros or 5 euros or whatever.
So you just put your luggage.
You just put my luggage there and I was free. Luggage there, so you don't worry.
Yeah.
I was just like exploring.
How is that feeling? I mean, tell me about that. एक ना मैं मनीष को एक स्टेटमेंट बोलती हूँ कितनी बार कि वो जो पीरियड होता है ना जब आप कहीं से निकल जाते हो और कहीं पहुंचे नहीं होते हो. I love that period wherein you've not reached, you're not even rushing to reach somewhere. You're just in between.
I think there are three, like the more I think about it, there are three distinct things that happen to you when you are in that phase or when you're traveling alone. One, nobody is there to judge you. I mean it, like nobody. You don't know the people there don't know you. You don't have any companions, so you're just like on your own. So for all the right reasons, it's true freedom. You know, like not being judged or being pulled into something or being pushed away from something for any reason at all. You could walk if you want to walk, you could take a train if you want, or you could take a bus if you want, you could just do nothing if you want. Like I said, for all the right reasons, not that the people that I usually travel with are anything or they're like very forceful or anything of that sort, but just being with your own thought. Again, they say, Sir says this so many times that, you know, if you start liking the day you start liking your own company, it's a different feeling altogether. So it's that. I think you're forced to explore. You're forced to try new things. You're forced to step out of your comfort zone. So I think solo travel would be brilliant for someone who wants to get out of their comfort zone but has not been able to do that. And I think it's safer than ever. Like
it's safer than ever with everything.
So many things now. So it's
you're always connected.
Like I really want to tell, especially mothers, like, you know, just go out, leave your kids there, and she's going to be fine. Just go out there. You're going to be a different person altogether, to yourself, to your kids, to your family, to everything. So I think that's number 2. And number 3, it's true quality time. Like, आपके सच में कुछ नहीं है. You know, except for maybe when I went to Luxembourg, how many train है इस time पे वापस जाना है, बाकी कुछ नहीं.
No agenda.
You know, and और उस time में ना कुछ, whether it's work, whether it's yourself, whether it's your life in general, whether it's just so nice to not have an agenda and just like still have some bright ideas coming up.
Yes.
कभी-कभी ऐसा होता है ना कि जरूरी हर चीज जो सोची हो करनी है. कभी-कभी सोचना is also nice. It's good for
and
your brain.
And you can feel good about it.
Good about it. Yeah. So I think it's that happens. That actually happens. So I think there's a lot of magic there. It's hard to explain, it's hard to put it in words, but I think there's a lot of magic that happens when you're in a new place, or
I think when a lot of people
in that phase that you said कि कहीं जाना है पहुंचे नहीं हो, लेकिन so there's a lot of magic that happens which I think you should just go and experience. Like you should just trust
and just go. And it's more about the way you feel. वो जो feelings आती है ना वो बहुत अलग level की होती है.
Your existence is in a very different tangent altogether.
So वो feeling experience करना भी बहुत magical होता है. Where
and I think it's also important for your. मैं अभी उस दिन अभिषेक को बोल रही थी कि थोड़ा weird topic है, but I said, you know, हम हमेशा बोलते हैं you have to feed your mind well, you have to feed your body well and everything, and I said, you know, our heart is constantly pumping blood. तो हम जब मर जाते हैं तो इसका मतलब क्या है? How can heart stop blood? तो है ही अंदर, तो उसका तो काम चलते रहना चाहिए. तो I said, you know, I think it's not anything. It's that soul, you know, which is like functioning everything. Like that's the start. Like that's the fire which probably starts everything. तो लगता है हमें अपने soul को feed करना चाहिए. मैं और अभिषेक ने ऐसे बहुत सारे conversations करते हैं ऑफिस आते. And I think travel is really, and I'm not saying it's not like cliche kind of feeding your soul. It's genuinely do that if you do it right. If you do it, if you really surrender, it's genuinely feeding your soul in such beautiful ways. जो आप ये कह रहे हो ना वो magic. Point is magic है, अभी भी है. Are you willing to experience it? Are you willing to surrender to experience it? That's very important. तो मुझे लगता है कि अगर आप वो सच में जाओगे ना, I can guarantee you'll come back such a different person.
और मुझे लगता है जितने सारे लोग सुनेंगे ना ये, तो we will have lots of solo trips. coming up,
I think
है ना?
we should. I mean, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि अगर suppose if you know you're like a bunch of friends and you're not really very comfortable going on solo trips, ठीक है आप साथ चले जाओ. But वहाँ जाके don't stay together. Maybe like at least for a day or at least for 2 days. You know, just like even if you're going as a family, for 2 days just go in different rooms. Don't see each other for 2 days and just do whatever you want. So I think even अगर वो उतना भी, I'm sure they will see a lot of interesting things happening. So yeah.
Very nice. One question that I've always wanted to ask you. You delivered your eldest son and then you left for a program. How many months program?
It was for 4 months.
It was for 4 months. तब मुझे बहुत गुस्सा आया था, honestly speaking. क्यों मतलब क्यों जा रही है? क्या मतलब है? क्या बाद में कर लेगी ना कोर्स? अभी क्यों करना है उसको कोर्स? क्यों छोड़ के जा रही है अपने बेटे को? So your thoughts on that? Now I'm okay. मैंने कहा अच्छा किया, but
so he was 13 months. Vivaan was just 13 months, and so I think there was like a mix of 2-3 things that was happening. So one was me and Abhishek as young people, young couple, entrepreneurs, really hustling our way, trying to make things work. You know, we have this idea of life, and then there's so many other things that are happening, which is very spontaneous, which we not planned for, like a kid, for example. I think one part was that where we were like, yes, we were enjoying parenthood, but at the same time, we were very conscious about that, we are 26, 27 now, we're never going to be 27 again. We're never going to have this time that we have for each other or for our work or for our family or for all the other things equally, So I think it was surprisingly more than me, it was Abhishek who sort of saw that I was really getting very comfortable with the whole idea of that, okay, now I'm a mother, I can take some time to sort of like bounce back or whatever. And I was really taking it easy. And after delivering, when I came back to Pune, I was not really sitting idle. I'd started something called Dal Khichdi. I thought I'll serve khichdi to people. So my ghar pe khichdi mati, because Vivaan was very young. He was just 2-3 months. So I couldn't have left him and gone out. So मैं ऐसे सब कुछ भी चीजें करती रहती थी. So I think he's always seen fire that I have more than I have seen it, and I'm very grateful for that, because I think आपको हमेशा constantly you need someone on the outside who's looking at you in a different way than you are looking at yourself. So I think we went home for Diwali and we had this whole argument, which I briefly remember on, what are you doing? And and I created this whole sob story of, like, what do I do? What do you want me to do? And we had a very, very different kind of. So when me and Abhishek argue, we argue very irrationally most of the times. I mean, he's always arguing very irrationally. I might still like have emotional an outburst or something, but usually our arguments are very rational. And we always come to some kind of conclusion. But that day we did not. And he had a meeting, he went, and I was just like at home, and the whole day was like, dude, what the hell? How can he say this?
How can he say this to me?
And the very next day, Diwali ka time tha, and the very next day, Diwali वगैरह हो गया था, ये हमारा हुआ, and next day I came back to Pune, and he was supposed to stay there for a couple of more days. मुझे नहीं पता क्या हुआ, what maybe my mother and him spoke about, or मुझे नहीं पता, I have no idea. He just called me up and he said, I found this program and I think you should go for it. And Vivaan was like 10, 11 months at that time. So I said, really? And he said, yeah, just apply. We'll see क्या होएगा. And I applied for my US visa. Everything like just like happened. And honestly, I did not have the money to pay for the fees. So when everything started falling in place, I'm a hardcore believer of कि अगर कुछ हो रहा है ना, so the next steps will also fall in place if they have to. If it is planned, it will happen. So I just wrote an email to the founder of the institute, and I said, I don't have the money, and I will be able to only pay in parts. American students, not for foreign students. It just happened. I was like,
ये भी हो गया.
So everything was so falling in place, and there was never a conversation of why you shouldn't.
Okay.
At least between the two of us. If I can be really honest, not even for once was I worried about कि मैं अपने बच्चे को छोड़ के जा रही हूँ. I was giving equal importance to the fact that hey, there is a family that can take care of him. There is his father who can take care of him. Like in my head, I'm telling you. I mean, I've never really spoken about this to anyone, but in my head, I was very secure.
Wow.
I was not insecure about, leaving him.
Leaving him.
I was very secure that my mom is there. She's brilliant. She loves my kid to bits and she can take care of him. And Abhishek is there. I mean, he's the father for God's sake. So he can take care of everything. And Vivaan is eating, walking, doing everything. So nothing that he's dependent on me in any way. The second was the excitement of my life, my dreams, me wanting to do something. So it was like suddenly that lag that had come was suddenly recharged.
Wow.
So I really did not want to, when Abhishek discussed this whole idea, when it really got into me, I was very excited and I did not want to give up on that excitement for anything. So, I don't know, you could probably say that, maybe were you getting a little selfish or whatever, maybe. But I think it was not for the wrong reasons. The reality of it is that I also had a life going on at that time, with respect to my career or with respect to who I want to be or all of those things. So I did this very interesting conversation with myself one night where I said, Vandita, there's going to be a time when a lot of work is going to happen, but your kids are going to need you and you're going to leave your work and you're going to go there. And there is going to be times when, your work really needs you in the middle of the night and your kids and your family maybe doesn't and you can go attend to that. So that's when I told myself that work-life balance is a myth.
Yeah.
Balance means what needs your attention.
Now,
if you can give your attention to that, that's balance, because then you'll be at peace of mind. If you always constantly strive for perfection, it's never going to happen because there's no definition of perfect. So I think that was a very important conversation that I had with myself. I have a whole diary, a couple of pages written on that. That it's okay, it's fine. Your kid is going to be, are you worried about your kid? Okay, yes. Other people who can take care of it, yes. So that part was just like, it was offloaded completely. Believe me, there were hardly any moments of meltdown when I was there, where I felt, holy shit, my kid recognized me. Like, very rare.
Right.
I would miss him, but I would miss him in the right spirit. I would not cry. I would just be happy to miss him. I just felt good that I have, even if I'm far away, I have that love for my kid. And I would be very excited to see him after. And I always thought that when he grows up, I'm sure he's going to look up to this in such a good way, in such a strong way. And when I came back, I started crying. I can't. The way Vivaan came to me was absolutely. It was magical.
Wow.
I don't know. A mother and a kid always have that bond, and your kid will always know you and would always. So I thought, this is great. doing. Your kid was doing great, and you did something extraordinary. At least for myself, I did, and it was a good feeling. So I think it was not tough. I think it was really beautiful. It was a great experience. Yeah.
बहुत बढ़िया. Very nice.
Even with Vivaan, I have a life. हम इस बात को एक्सेप्ट करें नहीं करें, बट हमारे लिए भी यही कुछ साल है when we can make our lives. तो अगर मैंने अभी ये सोच के if I sit at home कि अरे मैं विवान को कैसे छोड़ूंगी, तो मेरे 3-4 साल ऐसे ही चले जाएंगे. Maybe I'll never be able to go back to what I really want to.
Yeah.
So आप ऐसा बिल्कुल मत सोचो कि विवान is going to be very well taken care of. But I think I'm doing this for me more than how can I not do this for him. I'm doing it for me, and I think I want to just end it there.
Yeah.
And then my father-in-law is like, if you think this is the best, okay. So I think that he was my father had a very interesting question. My father did not have a challenge with me leaving Vivaan. My father had a challenge. How can you not take your husband? Papa, you're my father, you should be excited. It's like, so my father is like very male dominated. Not that he's dominating that way, but for him it's like, I'm the man of the house. That like that. It's like, he's not been to the US. How can you go to US? Are you serious right now? And my father was very vocal about it. Like even today when I travel alone, he's like, why are you not taking him?
हाँ,
अबे यार उसको नहीं जाना है, मतलब उसको बिजी है, वो नहीं आना चाहता है, या मेरा काम है, उसका कोई काम ही नहीं है।
नहीं
बट ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है?
हाँ,
तुम अकेले कैसे जा सकती हो?
हाँ ना।
I think now after so many years
He's okay?
He's okay if I call him and I tell him I'm going to Paris tomorrow and he's like अच्छा okay ठीक है जा रही हूँ।
ठीक है, अब तो
Like
आदत हो गई।
initially तो 3-4 साल तो he used to get a shock of his life कि and अभिषेक अकेले travel कर रहा है, it's okay,
It's okay.
he can। अच्छा ये गया क्या पहले, वो उनका क्वेश्चन होता है पहले क्या है, कभी मैंने बोला नहीं, अच्छा तुम पहले जा रही हो, तो यार मेरे पापा क्या कर रहे हो, मतलब यार मेरे को समझ ही नहीं आती ये बात। ठीक है। So always, you know, like this is one thing that I learned from social media, which is you know, never try to change people's thought process.
हाँ,
You know, sometimes it's okay, he's just putting up his opinion and you're okay with it.
you okay?
Not that he's enforcing or he's not
saying कि नहीं
तुम
ये कर नहीं
room
सकते हो।
and हाँ, तो ठीक है यार, जरूरी नहीं हर बार किसी का ओपिनियन चेंज ही करना है या उनको सिखाना है कि क्या सही है क्या गलत है। I mean that's his upbringing and so we would always laugh at it and me and Abhishek would be like wow and but we always turned it into a fun conversation with him also instead of making a big issue out of it. But it used to be very funny. My father was hilarious. I was like तुम उसको छोड़ो, विवान को तुम संभालेंगे, तुम अभिषेक के बराबर। Are you serious right now? So he took a lot of time to come to terms that oh, these two are individuals as much as they're together. They are actually leading two very independent, strong lives to themselves also. So I think that took quite some time for my.
And I think it's not something which is very common.
Yeah.
Even with new age couples, even with young couples,
Yeah, I agree.
it is not.
My mom was not like that. My mom was always overly excited, like for whatever I'm doing. I mean, even Abhishek for that matter. He still says, I mean, the kind of the way you think, the amount of courage you have to do things, I don't have that. I mean, I wouldn't have done a lot of things had it not been for you. Like I wouldn't have skydived from in Spain if you had not forced me to go to that trip, go on that trip. I would have never done that. So I think my mom has always been extremely not supportive. She's just like very excited. She's like, yeah.
The biggest cheerleader, huh?
Like that. So she's been like that. Abhishek has always been like very okay, what can this do to you?
Always that rational approach.
So he's always been like that, and he's a Scorpion, like you. So he's I mean उसको rationally दिख रहा है तो फिर वो उसको object भी करेगा, क्यों करना है, क्यों जाना है, you know. So all of that also happens, but he has a very it's between me and Abhishek, I think we've never had we've never had or we've always had those two very respective. We might not agree with each other on the way we are living or our life choices or our work choices primarily, not life really, but work choices. But there's always been a lot of respect that, okay, I mean, you want to still do it. I don't think you're doing it right, but you still want to do it. You're very confident. I'll support you. So that has been, and both ways. Like, you know, even he's done a lot of things which have probably not worked out for him. But we've never been like, see, तूने पिछले बार ऐसे किया था ना, अभी फिर से. We've never had those conversations. Never. I mean, वो exact same चीज भी करने जाएगा ना, but he wants to do it. After a rational conversation, we've always been very supportive of. Okay, you still want to do it?
You want to do it? Yeah.
I'm there. Like, figure it out. So I think even 3-4 years back when I started Mauji, I think he very consciously took a decision where he said, you know what, both of us can't be hustlers. So let me, you know, set things in a manner which is more stable.
More stable, yeah.
Because I can see that you would not give up on experimenting or doing different things, and you always want to be like that. And I'm okay to take a step back and like not be on that experimentation. So I think these little things really help you sort of align your ideas or what you want in life.
So while running Mauji, I was just interacting with the team, and there have been some operational challenges which are nuisance. I mean, एक होता है कि while a growing organization होती है तो ठीक है, but एक होता है unnecessary operational challenges. So how do you what is the approach that you have? क्या लगता है उस समय पे? You want to just go on the fighting mode, or does reason always work out?
नहीं, fighting mode never. Again, I mean, it's not a podcast about MG, but मैं सर का first ever, I think I'd also shared it a while back, first ever event I did, I attended a program which was an introduction to the entrepreneurship program. It happened at Yashta.
Yes.
And वहाँ सर का mic चलना बंद हो गया.
हाँ.
And it was like a huge audience. So ऐसा नहीं था कि 10-12 लोग बैठे. It was like good 60, 70, 80 people, 100 people in the hall. And जैसे वो हुआ उन्होंने थोड़ा इधर पूछा कि अरे क्या हो रहा है. And मुझे लगा भाई shit, you know what has happened, and तो जो भी कर रहा है उसको तो लग गया. And I'm thinking this, and he jumps off the stage and like कोई बात नहीं, मैंने ऐसे बात कर लेंगे जब तक माइक ठीक हो रहा है. And then he actually just made it like very easy and very, like I think in the moment people forgot that his mic was not working. And then he spoke about it and he said कि sometimes it's not necessary कि हम हर चीज़ का बैठ के इशू बनाएं या उसको उसके अराउंड परेशान हो. That if you have to grow, if you have to progress, तो then you have to think अच्छा अब ये हो गया अब क्या. हाँ. So I think ये कुछ चीज़ें ना, sometimes you learn something it just like sticks in your head. Right. So it's like that with me. I mean I don't try to micromanage. Okay. I'm okay if things go wrong. I'm okay if people are sometimes absent at work. I'm okay if something is not going. And I'm not I always tell this very proudly, I'm not a lover of structures. Okay. I have always felt, and I'll hopefully write a book one day on this, that processes and structures were meant to make our lives easier, to make it efficient for us to work in a certain environment or in a certain something. It was not supposed to make our lives rigid. So, if you're supposed to come at 9 o'clock, I am not doing this because it's a strict order, I'm doing it because ठीक है हमने सबने agree किया या फिर maybe we think कि तो मेरे यहाँ पे जब भी we talk about timings, I always tell everyone you pick your time. देखो 11 बजे no problem, but then stick to that. So we don't have timings here at Mauji really. Like you pick your own time at the time of your hiring process. Okay. So I am not a fan of structures. I feel अगर मेरे structure डालने से if my team member is getting bothered, if they're not happy, maybe काम हो रहा होगा शायद अच्छे से, but they're not enjoying. I mean, we spend 1/3 of our lives working. So how can that not be interesting, fun and easy? And it should be like that. So I have always tried to make it very, very simple here. ठीक है, गलती होती है, no problem. Point is, I always look for the intent. I always look for how much realization that person has about it. और वो मैं करती हूँ observe अपने तरीके से. Okay. So I don't try to make a big deal out of anything. Even अगर मैंने डांट भी दिया ना किसी को, तो उसको अगले दिन ऐसा लग ही नहीं सकता कि मैम मेरे से नाराज, लग ही नहीं सकता, क्योंकि I am very good at it. I mean, if I'm upset with you on something, I will come and tell you that. But हो गया ना, मतलब मैंने बता ही दिया ना, हो गया, it's done. It's over. So it's genuinely done here. Wow. I really don't, कोई भी हो, no matter who it is, I don't carry it. If I've done the conversation, it's done. It will not go in my head. So you can be very, very comfortable about it. कि अभी मैम ने बोल दिया, अब उनके दिमाग से बात चली गई है. Now we can be normal. So I will, and सबको ऐसे नहीं सोच पाते. So I always take that extra effort कि मैं जब next day मिलती हूँ तो मैं जाके good morning बोलती हूँ, मैं जाके क्या चल रहा है बोलती हूँ, अच्छा आज क्या हुआ है. So that they instantly feel like
ठीक है, things are back to normal.
No. So I think that's how I always like to operate. And I think as entrepreneurs or as leaders, we always have a better idea of what we want to do, and that will always stay like that. And और हम we always eat more than we can chew वाला चीज़ है ना, कि हम हमेशा बड़ी बड़ी चीज़ें सोचते हैं, हम और करना चाहते हैं. There's no limit to anything. But it's sometimes maybe the team cannot cope up with it,
right.
Or things might not exactly fall into place the way they should. तो टाइम ज़्यादा लग सकता है, या maybe इस साल के goals कुछ भी इस साल अचीव ही नहीं हुए because there was something else that came up. So I've become, in the last, especially after Mauji, I've become very comfortable with that idea. So last year, 2022 actually, not even 23, 2022, my goal was only to enjoy what I'm building more than trying to
make it
grow it and make it big and make it this and make it that. वो है. but I thought, shit, in the process, I've forgotten to enjoy such a beautiful place that I've created. And believe me, 2022 also did not happen because there's a lot of other things that came up. And so 2023 also I had just had that goal. Yes, I want to grow it. I always talk about it. I want to take it to different places. But I'm very, in my head, I'm at peace with the idea of that, okay, Mauji is still at just one location. It's still not gone to the second location. I'm very okay with it.
So you're aspiring to grow, but then you're not.
Yes, but I'm not trying to become like very hyper.
You're not getting anxious about it.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to make a big deal about it in a manner, in a wrong way, which is going to affect me negatively. Ki ushme nahi can. I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want to feel embarrassed with building something so beautiful.
I think that's the worst thing that you can do to yourself.
तो मुझे लगता है वो हम कहते हैं ना, knowledge, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. तो I think वो हर चीज को ना जब हम सीखते हैं कि goals बनाने चाहिए, उसके 2-4 चीजें हैं which you need to understand it and complete. You know, आपको पागल नहीं होना है. हाँ. You're trying to give direction to your life. You're trying to.
खुशी खत्म नहीं होनी चाहिए ना. In the pursuit of achieving those goals, you can't let go of your happiness.
Exactly, and that is what I realized, and it was a very nice realization कि Vandita ये इतना अच्छा बना है, can we like just enjoy this for some time? Like it's okay, 6 months कुछ मत सोच grow करने का.
इसको enjoy करो.
Come here every day, live this, see this, feel proud, feel great about it. So I think इसलिए फिर हमने काफी सारे इवेंट्स जो हम यहाँ करते हैं, बहुत सारी चीजें हम यहाँ करते थे. कल जैसे हमने पूरा बाहर का नक्शा बदल दिया. कभी-कभी I just like coming here and doing nothing. All those things.
I think ये जगह ना देती है वो space आपको, where you can just come and do
and
really
it's a
nothing.
good feeling.
And it's a good feeling.
So I think that is how I like to run things, and I'm not that I'm a rebel, not at all, but I'm really trying to break stereotypes around building a working culture and all of that stuff. Like मुझे बहुत सारे लोग बोलते हैं stop multitasking, stop doing so many things. Maybe they're right, maybe I'm wrong, or I don't know, but the reality is कि मेरे को इसी से किक मिलता है. Like my fuel is this. तो मुझसे नहीं होती एक चीज. तो ठीक है, but I can understand that the outside world doesn't understand it like that. So now what I've started doing is I've started resting everything on Mauji. So कोई नया idea आता है मैं उसको Mauji से connect कर देती हूँ कि for the outside world it's Mauji. तो Vandita Mauji कर रही है. But I know and the backdrop I'm doing a lot of things.
Right.
And जरूरी नहीं हर चीज हर बार किसी को, जैसे मैंने कहा कि गलत प्रूव करना है और तभी तुम सही हो. You know, they can be in their own world, in their own thought process, and I can still live my own. So that is how I want to run it. I don't know if there's any award for the best work culture right now. I don't know if that exists, but I really want to. I would want to win that award if I could.
There is something called Great Places to Work. Maybe you can apply for that.
I would really want to do that because I genuinely want to.
There is an award for that.
Beautiful work culture where I genuinely feel हम इतना सारा time काम पे देते हैं. You know, 10 घंटे लोग आके यहाँ काम करते हैं. आप सोचो, बच्चों के साथ अपना टाइम नहीं स्पेंड करते, अपने पार्टनर के साथ अपना टाइम स्पेंड नहीं करते, क्योंकि 7 घंटे तो आप सो रहे हो जाके. You hardly have an hour probably a day. तो मुझे सच में लगता है कि this should be blissful. You know, working somewhere should be absolutely easy and calm and nice and creative, and you should get those experiences at your workplace is what I feel. So I think already cafe है तो हमारी space thankfully बड़ी colorful और बड़ी interesting है already. So that really adds on. But I think work wise also we're very easy, we're very at peace, like ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं हो रहा है, कोई बात नहीं, तो it's okay. So बहुत कम डांट पड़ती है किसी को भी.
क्या बात है, बहुत बढ़िया. And the last question, where do you get all this energy from? कहाँ से? बचपन से ही genes में है?
हाँ, I think so. I think massively है मेरे genes में for sure, because my mother is like a hyper woman. But I think learning. So, for example, I did a lot of my programs at a very young age.
Okay.
And आपका जब thought process clear होता जाता है, there's so much that you start understanding about yourself. So the sooner you do that, like I don't know how was I introduced to the book The Secret, but I was introduced to that when I was in 10th standard.
Oh. Okay.
So now look at जो भी थोड़ा impact होगा, जो भी जितना भी, but it's such a beautiful impact. I did an entrepreneurship program when I was just 22 with MG sir. So now look at how much it opened up my mind. आप विश्वास नहीं करोगे, मैं इतनी excited होती थी about each month का program that I used to call up my friends and I used to do that, and I was to a point I understand कि
it's not everybody's.
You know, it's not everybody's thing, and you know, जैसे हम कभी कभी बोलते हैं भगवान का बुलावा आता है. I think वैसे ही learning है. You know, it calls you, and you have to listen to those calls, and not everybody gets it, not because of money or anything. Believe me, when I did the first program, I did not have money, and it was a very big decision for me as a business also to do something of that level. But see, you just, so I think it's because I've been really exposed to a lot of good learning, information, people, a very young age, and third, I think, so there's a quote from Einstein that logic takes you from A to Z, but imagination takes you everywhere. I changed it to that, you know, it's enthusiasm that takes you everywhere. It's not even imagination. You have to have that enthusiasm all the time. So, you know, small things like, I read Richard Branson say that, you know, just say yes to everything and then figure it out. Yeah. Okay, failure. I'm not scared of failures. Ye ek to na, I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed, I can't tell you. I mean, if you're asking what is that one thing that you're forever grateful for, it's this. I'm okay with failures. I'll bounce back even bigger. And I have like a series of stories to tell about that. That, you know, what I did, how it failed, and what I did next. So, I think these little things that I've come across, that I've read, that I've learned, that I've experienced, have been like, energy ke bina kuch nahi hai. So, you have to have that energy to sort of express, to even learn, to even give back. Or energy nahi hai to fir tu thoda naturally aata hai, aur usko maine ये सारी जितनी भी I've taken these external helps, whether it's reading, whether it's, you know, different kind of programs, it's elevated that. So, and yeah, I mean, it's just in me now. I think I'm a big ball of energy. I keep telling this to everyone, and I'm like, yeah, we can see that.
We can see that. And it goes on to other people. I mean, it goes, the ripple effect is there. So people around you are also energetic.
I mean,
kya baat hai? Amazing. It was so awesome talking to you, listening to you. It was just beautiful.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Yes. Namaste.